We are the first generation to feel the effect of climate change and the last generation who can do something about it. Even when we talk about air pollution, it causes long lasting health impacts ranging from heart diseases to lung cancer and whatnot. So, what comes next? Of course, our discussion today in VONG SDG Cafe that will cater to air pollution and climate action. Greetings, everyone. I'm Gauri Vadera, a Wongster who's here to conduct today's discussion as a part of the Wong movement. For a didactic discussion, yet again, we welcome Dr. Geeta PN Ma'am, who's here with us. And Geeta Ma'am was there for a discussion on marine pollution also before, and now she's here for this discussion. And the new viewers ought to know about her and her accomplishments. So, Geeta Ma'am, I'll be introducing you now. And so, Dr. Geeta PN Ma'am is an early career marine scientist from Kerala, also Director for Operations India at World Alliance for Planetary Health. She was a team member and marine benthic ecologist at Bangalore Robotics, semi-finalist in prestigious Shell Ocean Discovery X Prize, and finalist in NOAA bonus prize for a competition to develop autonomous underwater vehicles that are AUVs for detection and clearing of plastics and harmful chemicals and pollutants from oceans. Geeta ma'am is also working as social media manager for Gift Women Link Foundation, Uganda, for promoting projects like making eco-crafts from plastics and other waste to child and women empowerment, economic development, clean environment, and climate change mitigation. Her research area is marine and estuarine benthic taxonomy and community ecology. She's working in such projects for more than 10 years. She's an ocean lover. She published articles in some reputed journals. Some of her talks were published via YouTube on plastic pollution, and others were broadcasted in a radio which was in USA regarding the current environmental issues. MSc, BA, MPhil, PhD. Besides these so many degrees, she had completed more than 20 online courses from international institutions in relation with climate change, marine ecosystem, conservation and protection of nature and natural resources, and many more. With such a versatile and decorated profile, I'm reading it yet again, but it gives the same vibes and same excitement to me. So today's discussion, I'm sure, is going to be exciting as last time. And it's a pleasure to meet and have you here again with us, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm also very happy to meet all of you again. And thanks for your invitation to talk about this important topic. And I'm very glad to present something for learning and awareness to everyone around us. And that is my passion to present or talk about such issues to everyone around me, to educate everyone or motivate or inspire to others to do something positive to mitigate such issues for a better future for all. Thank you.
So great to hear, ma'am. And we'll be starting with the questions for the day. And you already know about the Wong movement, so I won't reiterate that again because we discussed about that last time. So, first of all, as this is going to be about climate change and air pollution, I would love to know from you, like climate change, it can have a dramatic impact on our natural resources as well as economic activities and health. So, what are your views, and how do you think climate change possibly depletes our natural resources and has an impact on our economic activities?
Yes, actually, climate change impacts our society by disrupting the natural, economic, and social systems, all that depend on. And this disruption will affect the food supplies industry and supply chains and financial markets, damage infrastructure and cities, and harm human health and global development. The impacts of climate change are already here in front of our eyes. We are also victim of such issues today. And poor air quality currently affects the health of millions of people. In India also, it's a big problems, and it's a climate change has the potential to increase the harmful exposures to elevated concentration of ozone and PM2.5 through changes in regional weather patterns. However, there is a huge uncertainty about the future projection. But currently, it is sometimes it's a difficult situation, especially in North India and Delhi, etc. And we know that with the increasing CO2, forest productivity will likely increase, until other impacts of climate change, such as increased risk of drought, forest fires, pests, and invasive species, present additional stresses to forests. And such the unsustainable use of natural resources, that is both in developing and developed economies, produce severe environmental challenges, and such as deforestation, water shortage, and climate change. Its negative impacts of global warming include reduced crop quantity and quality due to the reduced growth period followed due to the high levels of temperature rise, and actually reduced sugar content in fruits and bad coloration, and reduced storage stability in fruits, and increase of weeds and blights and harmful insects in agricultural, and something like that, reduced land, or it's not useful for agriculture. That these all are the problems related with the climate change and economy. And it will also affect the economy and social issues, and also health issues like that. And if current rates of warming continue by 2030, its global temperature could increase by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, that is 2.7 Fahrenheit, compared to before the Industrial Revolution. And a major impact of climate change on biodiversity is the increase in the intensity and frequency of fires, storms, or periods of drought. Due to these reasons, in forests and something like that, the biodiversity may perish or decrease or extinct. And we know that the air pollution can cause health problems in humans, like heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, and blood sugar, that have been identified as the pre-existing medical conditions that raise the chances of death from COVID-19 infection. And emerging research, including a study from Harvard Chan School of Public Health, finds that breathing more polluted air over many years may itself worsen the effects of COVID-19 like diseases in future also. So that, and the biodiversity also underpins the health of the planet and has a direct impact on all of our lives. And put simply, reduced the biodiversity means millions of people face a future where food supplies are more vulnerable to pests and diseases, and where fresh water is also deficient, as in irregular in some places, and a shortage of supply and for humans, and that is also worrying for humans in a nearby future. And climate change is already impacting health in a myriad of ways, including by leading to death and illness from frequent extreme weather events such as heat waves, storms, and floods. Nowadays, it is increasing in India and Pakistan in such tropical areas, and the disruption of food systems, and it increases in zoonosis or zoonotic diseases like COVID-19, that is diseases that is infectious diseases from animals to humans. Okay. And such food, water, and vector borne illness and mental health issues are also chances, there is a chances to increase such diseases and issues. And the Swiss Re-Institute warns that the large impact of climate change is that it could wipe off to the 18% of GDP of the world economy by 2050, and if global temperature by 3.2 degrees Celsius. And in conclusion, and the increasing concentration of CO2 increased the tropospheric ozone and PM 2.5, which increased the mortality by about 1.1 percentage or degree temperature increases over the baseline rate. Okay, and that estimated that about 40 percentage of the increase was attributable to ozone, and the rest to PM or particular matters, and the estimated mortality increases was higher in location with poor air quality. And the things that we depend upon and value: water, energy, transportation, wildlife, agriculture, ecosystems, and human health. Everything will change and the economic system may collapse. Sometimes such bad situation may lead to conflicts between people in a community or some nations, or in such warlike situations may occur in some places and the countries, and in different places in some migration and something related to such processes, or such incidents may occur, and like a situation like death or new emergence of new diseases or the economic crisis and health issues may mostly affect the women and children, based on the gender based analysis, because they are more vulnerable to such issues. And the least developing countries and small island nations are also most vulnerable to such issues. And generally, the degradation of environmental degradation or climate change and increased urbanization, mobility, and migration of all influences public health, example by raising the risk of global transfer of infectious diseases and exposing people to environmental hazards. Actually, elderly and poor people are particularly vulnerable to such situations in nearby future, based on such current scenario or rate of this temperature rising. Okay, and humans are social animal, and their population are also increasing in a day by day and living like communities, so that there is a chance of spreading of such infectious diseases like a wildfire in everywhere, and like this recent pandemic like COVID-19, and it will affect every sector of human, like slow down economy and affect family, students, their studies. Sometimes it's extended to other animals and wildlife and mutagenic variations and formation of new strains, and it will be also a future fear for humanity. That is the truth, and the major impacts of our life by biodiversity and nature by such issues. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, you explained it really well, like how climate change already has had some impacts and the impacts it can cause in future, the people who are vulnerable to it, and how dangerous it is for everyone, the animals, the biodiversity, and nearly the humans and everyone we know. So, ma'am, when we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about climate change, there is yet another term called air pollution. So, how do you think that the constant rise in air pollution possesses a major threat towards the worsening climate change?
Yes, actually, it's related. Or climate changes in climate main impacts to local to regional air quality, and it may lead to worsening of global warming and the related consequences of climate changes, because especially in some particular regions or continents or some countries, because the more carbon emission may lead to increasing the air pollution in some continents or regions or some countries. Actually, they that countries or people are more vulnerable to these complications with the air pollution impacts and also with the climate change impacts, and on socio-economic and ecological impacts like drought, heat wave, health issues, migration, death, flash flood, and also poverty, etc. And such, and additionally it indoor air pollution also, which arises from a variety of causes in our home, also can cause health problems. Then, according to the European Environment Agency, globally, levels of air pollution and releases of nutrients from agriculture and wastewater remain high, and causing acidification and eutrophication in ecosystems and loss of agricultural yield. And in the coming decades, overall pollution levels are projected, and this is to increase strongly. particularly in Asia. Okay, as climate change alters temperature and weather patterns, that is related, and it's a complex, like a complex issue, and it will also impact plant and animal life and human life. Scientists expect that the number and range of species which define the biodiversity and will decline greatly as based on these impacts of these such issues. I think these are related actually. And for example, if a reduction of minute plankton or algae in our ocean or marine environment will affect the whole biological system in ocean, and it impacts reach on land also, including humans, because we know the terrestrial biodiversity is also connected to marine ecosystems, and it will affect the blue economy, health sector, and every other sectors of life in different ways, because we know that some medical medicines are prepared from the marine corals or animals or something sponges like that. Mostly some major medicines used for cancer, curation of cancer or such diseases are prepared from the sponges or corals, etc. And this air pollution will lead to the climate change impacts or triggering the impacts more worsening, and it will affect the terrestrial ecosystem and also the marine ecosystem and everything that is interconnected actually. If any note in the this chain, it's a complex chain, the biodiversity like a complex chain on earth, because all are interconnected, and if any note will lose, it will affect the nearby species or nest organisms, and it will spread to others also, so that it will leads to a collapse in a trophic level, and also in a ecosystem's function, natural function. Yeah, that is the issues related with this. Thank you for asking that question.
It's my pleasure, ma'am. You so very well explained it and answered it well. The way you talked about the chain and how the climate change is affected by the air pollution, I think you perfectly highlighted all the points that were needed to answer this question. So, ma'am, as we're already talking about air pollution, and as you said that air pollution is something really harmful and has a harmful impact on earth and the people, so there is this term associated with it, that is net zero emission. So what basically is
Yes.
that, if you could throw some light upon that?
Yes, if net zero emission, that word is related with the climate change and the carbon emission, etc. And nowadays it's used in different places. That such like that it's actually meant like that, refers to a carbon neutrality. That is the net zero, and we need to reduce our carbon emission or carbon footprint, and it is important for um, protection and um, sustainable use of the resources and everything, because we need to maintain a green style lifestyle for reduce our carbon footprint and everything, and that term is used in carbon neutrality. That is the related with the climate change, that word. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Also, another term related to climate change, that is global warming. So, it
Yeah.
is one of the most harmful and serious aspects of climate change as we talk about it. So, do you think that air pollution fuels this global warming also?
Yes, it's also related. Actually, it's a that is a global warming, or it's impacted by greenhouse gases, and and we know that global warming is the heating or increasing the temperature on Earth atmosphere due to the trapping of sunlight and heat due to the absorbed by several particles in our atmosphere, because if carbon level increases in our atmosphere, or such pollutants in atmosphere trapped the heat or sunlight in on the earth, major atmosphere, and that is the reason for global warming. And if the carbon emission is increasing or greenhouse gases are increasing on atmosphere, definitely the temperature will also rising. That is the major terms related with this climate change and global warming and its connection, actually.
Got it,
Thank you.
ma'am. Thank you. So, as we're moving on, we also discussed a little about the energy resources. So, ma'am, when we're talking about renewable energy sources versus the other ones, so we are using coal as the major energy source. So, do you think that
Yeah.
coal produces more pollutants than any other renewable energy source?
Yes, in India also we are using the major resources for energy power is a coal, and it actually it's less costly in a other energy resources, so that we are using such and we have enough resources also here in India, so that we are using that power or energy sources for widely used, and we have no other costly resources here. And we know that our economy is also little bit um, low, and so that we need to try in future, we need to change it to renewable energy source, other renewable energy sources like solar power or such wind turbines or such energies. And actually the coal producers are the more pollution than any other energy sources, because while coal produces just 44 percentage in developed countries like USA, but India it is I think it is above say 75 percentage we are using these power energy resources. And in climate change is in a coal's most serious long-term global impact, because chemically coal is mostly contains carbon, and which when burned reacts with the oxygen in the air to produce carbon dioxide and a heat trapping gas, and this will cause to more absorbance of more heat from sunlight or other sources, and it will trapped in on our earth surroundings and atmosphere, and due to increasing or triggering the effect of global warming. And it will when released into the atmosphere, carbon dioxide works like a blanket and warming the earth above than normal limits, actually. And this CO2 absorbs less heat per molecule than the greenhouse gases, but methane or nitrous oxide, but it's more abundant, so that it stays in the atmosphere much longer. That is the truth. But increases in atmospheric carbon dioxide are responsible for about two-thirds of the total energy imbalance, and that is causing its temperature to rise. That is the fact behind this, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Also, in this answer, you have discussed about some of the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and how coal produces it. So, ma'am, would you like to throw some light upon what are greenhouse gases and explain it technically as an expert?
Yes, and actually, we I think we learned about this in our schools, universities, and everywhere. We are reading everywhere in nowadays, and we are reading from a lot of journals or newspapers and everywhere. And it's actually greenhouse gas is a gas that absorbs and emits radiant energy within the thermal infrared range, that causing the greenhouse gas effect. And the primary greenhouse gases in Earth's atmospheres are water vapor and carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and other gases like ozone. And these are the major greenhouse gases on Earth's atmosphere. And these greenhouse gases are also absorb the most abundant heat from sunlight and trapped in Earth atmosphere and leads to the global warming. Yeah, that is the um, role of these gases on relation with this climate change impacts. That is,
Well
thank you.
explained, ma'am, and I agree with you that even in university, school level, at elementary school level, students are taught about it, but there always remain some myths and doubts, and I'm sure your answer must have cleared to the ones who are listening. So, moving on to the next question, as we're talking about air pollution, climate change, global warming. So there is this word called particulate matter used and included with them. So asking you about the same, ma'am, does increasing particulate matter in the air has adverse impacts on the health and natural resources? And how can we discuss its impact on climate change?
Yes, actually, the impact of climate change on other air pollutants such as particular matter is less studied, and such research is underway to address such uncertainties. We need to wait to reveal such more knowledge about that particular area. And but different components of particulate matter, so PM can have either warming or cooling on Earth's atmosphere. Because, for example, black carbon and a particulate pollutant from combustion contributes to the warming of the earth, while particulate sulfates cool the earth's surface. And actually it's warming or cooling, and different types of particulate matters doing different roles in such activities in or reactions. And this how can this PM2.5 health affect our health? And this when a black carbon deposits on ice and snow, actually it causes local warming. Okay, and increases in melting. In addition, this fine particulate matter that causes air pollution, and of which black carbon also makes up as a major pollutant and in a major part of this area, and is the leading environmental cause of poor health and premature death. And these particles in the PM2.5 size is ranges are able to travel deeply into the respiratory tract of humans and reaching the lungs. And it exposure to fine particles can cause short-term health effects such as eye, nose, throat, and lung irritation also, and coughing, sneezing, runny nose, and shortness of breath, and also different types of particular types of lungs diseases may occur in some people. And the main primary sources of this particulate matter in Delhi, in our country, are vehicular emissions and biomass burning, fossil fuel combustion, diesel generators, construction, and road dust emissions, etc. And such reports are published by various researchers, and we can see about that details in such articles. I think the North India may more vulnerable to air pollution, dangerous level. And in Kerala, we have here air pollution, but it is not like a threatening condition here yet. But we don't know in future what happened. There is a situation ongoing related with this climate change and air pollution in our country. And I hope you understand all these points actually.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
And
I am
mom,
also
I
working.
also agree with you. Like when you talk about that, North India might be more vulnerable because when we see the air and as we're moving towards urbanization, we are cutting down trees. So of course
Yeah.
the air pollution rises and the levels also rise. So of course we are more vulnerable, and the southern side is something I want to explore, and I'm sure it must be somewhat better than where we are today. And even I'm glad that I live near a park, so there are trees to purify the air, but still the condition is not very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I also read a lot about the issues, air pollution issues in Delhi area in a newspaper and television, etc. And I just concerned about such issues because I think the most vulnerable lives is already we know that every it affect every biodiversity, and but also the babies or children are the most vulnerable to such issues in our country. Yeah, that is, and the elderly people.
Right, ma'am. Agreed with that. Absolutely agreed. And I'm also seeing it.
Based on this uh, a bad situation, I also joined with another project from USA, and I am working with that is under the World Alliance for Planetary Health, and we are trying to make some biofertilizers from coal ash or coal waste, and it's very useful product for removing the pesticides and poisonous fertilizers from our land and agricultural fields to save the land and soil remediation, to help soil remediation and also the water, save aquatic biodiversity and aquatic ecosystem, because we know that the artificial fertilizers are the major reasons for poisonous algal blooms in a marine environment or coastal areas globally, and we need to remove such poisonous chemicals from our land to save the land and also with the aquatic ecosystem biodiversity, because we know everything is interconnected, and if without biodiversity on marine ecosystem or without a healthy marine environment, we cannot live on earth or land. So that I just um, based on that issues, I joined with them in that project, and we are trying to produce this product in our market and globally, and just started one step in already started in Africa, and they are using these products in some places and started using, and we need to expand it in India and everywhere in other countries also. We are trying to expand our product to everywhere. Yeah, that is the current situation with that project.
That's an awesome initiative, ma'am. And I love it that you are working with such an organization to for this product. And I wish it becomes a success and would love to become an early adopter if I'm
Yes.
capable.
Thank you. Because we know the coal ash is also waste and it causes air pollution. And after burning, it will only be waste, and we cannot use that waste for anything. And it's dumped in some sites or places, and it will just spreading to air by wind or something like that. And it may affect the biodiversity in that area also in different way, and so that we can remove such wastes from earth and also with the and help to the environment and society too. Yeah, that is the uh, aims behind that project, and that is the objective of that project. Thank you.
Absolutely awesome, ma'am. Thank you so much for throwing a light upon that and briefing the viewers about the same. Also, as we are talking about climate change, this was one of the solutions that your team is working upon. So, when we talk about some climate change policies, do we need to accommodate a pollution safety margin? And please do explain what a pollution safety margin is also.
And I think the policies are also useful to eliminate such issues or reduce such issues on environment and earth. And climate change policies may have to include a pollution safety margin, and which accounts for the warming impact of many air pollutants. It is helpful to reduce the harmful effects of air pollutants could accelerate climate change over coming decades by cutting emissions that currently contribute to cooling the temperature or the climate. Actually, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, to keep global warming below 2 degrees Celsius, emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, because must be halved by 2050, because compared with the 1990 levels, and the developed countries will need to reduce more between 80 percentage and 90 percentage by 2050, and the advanced developing countries with large emission, example China, India and Brazil, and will have to limit their emission growth. And it agreed in a 1997, it sets binding emissions targets for developed countries that have ratified it and as the EU member states, and it limits the emission, and it increases of the remaining countries for the first commitment period from 2008 to 2012. But countries are expected to meet their target, and mainly through domestic policies and measures. They may meet part of their emission reduction targets by investing in emission reducing projects in developing countries and the clean development mechanism or CDM like activities, or in developed ones like joint implementation acts, and such activities are need to reduce this emission. And the CDM is also meant to support sustainable development, example by financing and the renewable energy projects. We need to implement such renewable energy products to reduce the production, or reduce the emission of such harmful gases or carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases related to global warming. And the some agreement are also in the international agreements are also um, proposed for such actions, and one is Concon agreements that is adopted at the United Nations Climate Conference in Mexico in December 2010, and include a comprehensive finance and technology and capacity building to support the package to help, and something like that, it developing nations adapt to climate change and adopt sustainable paths to low carbon emissions. Such agreements, the agreements also include a time schedule for reviewing the its objective of keeping the average global temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius. And so that such agreements, the agreements for confirm that the developed countries will mobilize USD 100 billion in climate funding and for developing countries, because they can do such activities with the help of developed nations, and annually by 2020, and establishes a green climate fund through which much of the funding will be channeled. And this Durban platform, another process or treatise is the Durban platform for enhanced and action. There is a plan adopted at the United Nations conference in South Africa in 2011, and agreed a roadmap towards a new legal framework by 2015, and applicable to all parties to the United Nations Climate Convention. And these are the international types of policies related with this climate change reduce or mitigation actions, and the many
Yes.
European countries have adopted. Hello, hello.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am, you're audible.
yeah, Gauri, this is one of our CEO is joined with my talk, because I just told about my talk today. He's the CEO and president of the World Alliance for Planetary Health from USA, and he's a marine researcher and engineer, working in a Gulf of Mexico, and he is studying about the dead zone, marine dead zone formation or poisonous algal bloom in marine environment in Gulf of Mexico. And hello, welcome, hello, hello,
Hello,
welcome
sir.
James to the talk.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome, hearty welcome.
Yeah, I made it.
Yeah, very nice to meet you here now. Yeah.
Great to
How are
have
you
you
all?
as.
How are
Yes,
you all
sir.
doing?
We are great. How are you doing?
Very good. So you're all talking about ocean interaction, soil remediation, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Thank
sir.
you. Yeah, I just talk about this all. Just a few seconds.
Okay.
Right, Geeta ma'am was telling us about climate action and also how to fight air pollution.
Right. Yes, we have several solutions there that can mitigate a lot of the problems that begin, where it begins at. That's how we're going at this problem, where it begins. And that's in the soils and how we treat our soils. They're living organisms. And when they need to be treated as living organisms. And this is what Ali Kavadi is doing. Brilliant guy. And he's chosen us to develop it in the United States. And it's a great honor to be working with him to roll this out for, the Mississippi Delta area of the United States. It's a huge area. It's like 6,000 square miles. The northern states, there's 14 northern states of the United States that all drain into the Mississippi Delta, and that all goes out to the Gulf of Mexico. So, it's that needs to be dealt with as quickly as possible because it's definitely harmful to all the creatures that live in the sea and the Gulf and everything that's in the path of the nutrient bases. So yeah, it's a very important project, and me and Geetha working very hard to get it off the ground. Working with LSU University, I'm going to try to get Geetha over there. I've been talking to Nancy Robles, who is head of department for ocean studies, and she's very interested. She backs what we're doing, and it's a start, so everything takes time to develop it. I had to get import license for Ali Kavadi's organic blend, and it can happen the same all around the world. We spread this news, and by the way, I just read a report about fertilizers that are becoming unavailable, which is, maybe a godsend for us because what's not available, we will have available. And Ali is already, I guess he's stockpiled some 800,000 tons in Turkey. He's base of operations for production and export in Turkey right now. So he's working with the Turkish government for supplying. And now all we have to do is get our import license straightened for Louisiana and be able to get it to the farmers. That would be so great if we could get it to the farmers quickly and have a grant that could cover all the transportation costs, things like that. You know how business goes. So that's what we're doing, getting ready for that. Where are you at?
Sir, I am in Delhi right now, India. I'm a student who's studying in class 12th.
Oh, okay. India also then. Great.
It's awesome to hear about the initiative, sir. Also, Geeta ma'am was also sharing about the same while we were discussing. So it's great to see you go. And I just hope that you get the import license soon and you can make it work out and make it accessible to the farmers. And I'll be supporting and doing my bit and will connect with Geeta ma'am to do whatever I can.
Excellent. India would be they have coal and they burn a lot of coal. This process that Ali uses is made from coal ash. So he's using a waste product and uses the carbon base out of it to form humic acid, which is, a rhizome uses the acid to create the root structure, which eats through, gets the mineral base out of the soil. So he's getting that from a waste product, so it's ingenious how he's doing this. And I looked at it years ago, and he had some other people um, developing it with him, and then they messed him over, and it caused a big setback for him and us. And now we're just getting back on track to get everything straightened out. He's now producing it, and producing it for export also. So what we can do in the future to get it produced in the United States, Ali can be our consultant here in the United States. He's back and forth from Canada, and so he's my neighbor basically. So he's not too far from me, and I can go see him at some time, and he comes see me. So in the future, we plan to do that. But India, for sure, would very much benefit from this, very much.
Right, sir. Agreed with you. And I hope the procedure takes place soon and India can access the product also. And it will be in the news that two neighbors brought a change and completely found a solution for climate change and the coal problem. Let's hope for
Yeah.
the best.
A complete solution, yes. Yeah, that's the big part. And we know it works. There's no leaching from this product. It doesn't leach excess nutrients because it's got life in it in a package, and the package is specific for a soil base. He will get the microbes that are naturally in the soils. So he gets a soil sample. He reproduces. It takes almost 6 months to reproduce all of those microbes that are in that soil. And then he blends it with the humic acid and other components which create the base for the fertilizer. So it's a specialized fertilizer which adapts. It's adaptable for different soil types. That's another brilliant part of his. Okay.
Right, sir. That seemed magnificent. So we'll be moving on with the discussion as we had decided. Also, sir, if you feel like giving in some inputs, please feel free to do so. And it's an honor to have you two here with Geeta ma'am. So
Well, thank you.
we will thank you so much,
Thank you
sir.
for talking about that. And came here.
So back to you, Geeta ma'am. We were discussing about the policies, and you also told us about an initiative earlier. So I would
Yes.
like to ask you, how, in your views, can we integrate the approaches and strategies towards reduction of air pollution and thereby its effect in climate change?
Yes, it's
Um,
actually broad. And we know, and one second. It's a broad question, and I noted some points for that. And
well, one of the little pathways that will be accomplished will be CO2
yes,
uptake of the soil.
mm-hmm.
The microbes in the soil would be proliferated and stimulated to take up more CO2. So if you're doing a large project, say 40,000 square kilometers or something, what's the tons of CO2 uptake that would be available for all of that soil? It'd be huge. So, and imagine doing that all around the world. then it's become, you know, a super huge CO2 sink. That's one of my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, we can integrate the approaches and strategies towards reduction of air pollution and thereby its effect on climate change by some steps include reducing toxic emissions from industrial sources and reducing emissions from vehicles and engines through new stringent emission standard and cleaner burning gasoline and this addressing the indoor air pollution through voluntary programs and that the personal exposure to ambient air pollution can be reduced on high air pollution days by staying indoors, reducing outdoor air infiltration to indoors and cleaning indoor air with air filters and limiting physical exertion and some especially the outdoors and near air pollution sources and erecting buildings and infrastructures that is safer and more sustainable and replanting forests and restoring damaged ecosystems and diversifying crops so that they are better able to adapt to changing climate and we need to use such green technology and green methods to improve the agricultural farming and the ecosystem conservation and they're investigating and developing innovative solutions to prevent and manage natural catastrophes and the reduction in the burning of fossil fuels and the release of smoke and the vehicle fumes actually it and we need to protect some important ecological sensitive ecological areas on earth like the coastal wetlands and the promote the benefits of sustainable agroforestry and decentralize the energy distribution and secure indigenous people's land rights and we invite them to active on such projects and the improve mass transit. These integrated approaches may more helpful to eradicate such issues or mitigate against climate change and air pollution. Yeah.
Thank you so much for answering that, ma'am. And as we are reaching the end of the time, so I would just ask you to give us some of your closing remarks and also some closing remarks from James sir also. He joined in at the perfect moment and explained us about the product and your collaborative initiative also. So
Yeah.
we would like to end this on a positive note and a solution and your closing remarks.
Actually,
Well,
we know tomorrow is the World Environment Day, and this year theme is only one Earth. That is, we need to think about that word or that terms. The only one Earth. We don't know any other Earth in this universe in yet, and maybe somewhere else, some planets are also may find some life in nearby future or something like that. We don't know what about the future discoveries, but we have only one planet and one home, that is the earth. We need to conserve and protect it for us and our future generations, so that we need to stop all these pollution or environmental degradation or such activities and join together to build a better place or better world for all and that is my message to everyone in this time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
um,
Yes,
yes,
sir. Please go ahead.
And welcome.
my thoughts for the future. I'm always an optimist. I'm optimistic, and I present the positive path. I have a book out. It's called Deep Calls to the Deep. It'll be out July 24th, but it'll be available on Amazon for pre-order. What it describes is positive, it exposes positive pathways which are available to us today. Energy is one of them, energy production, non-polluting, non-resource consuming, and very inexpensive. Um, it's a viable pathway that can be taken. We need to convince the leaders. Uh, they need to do more to support such projects. Right now, the UN said they were going to support it, and now they're not supporting it. So what has changed? You know, we have to wonder. We talked to our president of the United States. He even has not answered us. So we need to get understanding in that direction. Also, I've set up for Dr. Ali when he gets to the United States to build a platform for production in the United States for soil mitigation. I think it would be the greatest point for a country to come together with in the platform itself, because together we stand, divided we fall, sort of thing. You know, the positive aspects of soil mitigation is, like Geetha said, the sustaining of life for our planet, not just our lives, but the lives of everything that lives with us. So that's a very good point Geetha is working on. And I fully back that. I do everything I can to make those points clear. So that's my thoughts for the future, and may we get to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have the perfect thoughts for the future. And with this, we'll be ending this webinar of ours. But certainly, we aren't ending our projects, our initiatives we have. So, thank you to all the viewers.